Welcome, everybody, to Come Back to Love. I am Robin Vogel, and we are on Dream Vision's 7 Radio Network. Welcome to the new listeners. Welcome to those listening every week. I'm so glad you're out there. On this radio show, we explore the journeys of healing, connection, and transformation in love and relationships. I'm your host, Robin Vogel. I'm a love and intimacy coach, an internal family systems therapist, and the creator of Heal Your Heart. Join me as I share stories, tools, and insights to help you rewrite your love story, whether it's about overcoming heartbreak, unraveling old patterns, reigniting the spark in your current relationships, or something else related to love, intimacy, and sexuality. Together, we'll explore how love begins within and expands outward to create meaningful, fulfilling connection with others. You can tune in to Come Back to Love every Thursday at 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern on Dream Vision's 7 Radio Network. Listen online, on your mobile device, in your car, or simply ask Alexa to play Dream Vision 7. In each episode, I welcome incredible guests who bring their unique perspectives and expertise to help us dive into topics like self-compassion, healing childhood wounds, and creating the love we desire and deserve. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by a special guest, Roy Biancalana. He is a best-selling author and certified relationship coach. Roy's focus is helping single adults attract healthy, conscious relationships. He does that through his 3 books. Can't wait to hear about those. Private and group coaching sessions, and also through professionally done video-based e-courses found on his website. He offers a complimentary coaching session to anyone interested in how he can help you attract lasting love. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, join us for this heart-centered, transformational conversation. Let's explore how you can come back to love, starting with the relationship that matters the most, the one with yourself. I'm glad you're here and welcome to the show.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Yeah, I'm really excited of what you're doing and to be a part of it. Thank you.
You are so welcome. So we have crossed paths in a couple of different ways. We have colleagues in common, I believe, and we did a project together last summer, and that was
Mhm.
awesome. And
Mhm.
now I'm so happy to get to know you better by having you on the Come Back to Love radio show.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Yes. So I'm feeling to start with like, what is the definition of a healthy, conscious relationship in the words of Roy?
Yeah, yeah. As you say that, even though you're asking for the words of Roy, what comes to mind, one of my favorite spiritual teachers is a guy named Michael Singer. He wrote the book The
Yes.
Untethered Soul, which is,
Yes.
an amazing book. And
Yes.
I remember one time being at his facility, actually in Gainesville, Florida,
Hmm.
and he said the core agreement of a conscious relationship is, he said something like, it's wanting to work on ourselves together rather than working on each other, right?
Hmm.
Now, there's a lot of meaning in that,
There's a lot in there
because
to unpack.
most people, I know, I can relate to being in relationships where it was kind of about trying to make the other person into the kind of person we really needed them to be. Well, I mean, we always want to attract someone who is kind of checking the boxes, but I found a lot of effort trying to keep my wife, or to get my wife to be the way I thought she should be and treat me the way I wanted to be treated and do the things and sex and everything. It was almost like my partner was silly putty. You know what silly putty is? You just, like,
Yeah.
you mold something, right? And that, I think, it sounds kind of dark, but that very often that's what we do in relationships. We are trying to change a person to be the way we think we need them to be so that we can be happy or feel okay on the inside, whatever it is. Versus the conscious approach is, let's be together to create an environment where we can work on ourselves, right? So instead of me working on you, Robin, to try to make you the way I need you to be, it's like I want to be with Robin because it creates an atmosphere where I can work on myself. Like, I want to grow, I want to evolve, and I want to do that with someone who is also wanting to grow and evolve. And so we're going to work on ourselves together rather than get in a power struggle trying to change each other and do all that. Right.
Ugh,
And
yes.
that to me, if you can, if that ends up being the reason you want to be in a relationship, like your purpose is, man, this is getting us some deep waters here. It's like, what is
Good.
your purpose for wanting a relationship? Well, I don't want to be lonely, or I want a companion, or this or that, versus I want to find someone who will be good for my growth and who will help me create an environment for learning and evolution. And that is a very different purpose because now, when my wife, on the rare occasion she annoys me, I see her more as she's in my life as my ally. Like when she annoys me, when she's doing something I don't like, when she's maybe not meeting a need, I get that as an opportunity to grow. I get that as an opportunity not to try to get her to do something, but to look at the part of me that needs or the part of me that wants her to be a certain way. And so she, in a sense, becomes my teacher rather than a person I'm trying to manipulate so that I don't feel triggered or lonely or whatever it might be. So it really changes the nature of the relationship itself and how you view your partner. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense to me. I mean, as somebody who's worked with couples for so many years now, that dynamic of I'm uncomfortable or I'm upset or I'm angry or I'm in pain, and the way to feel better is for you to do something different
Yes.
is so common.
Yeah.
It's like it's in our drinking water
Right. Well, we hear it everywhere, and
everywhere.
to a degree, it does sort of make it kind of makes weird sense in a way. Like
Yeah,
if I have an abandonment wound, well then I need you to be there. I need you to respond to my text messages right away. I need you to pay attention. I need you to not be distracted because then I feel abandoned. And so we feel like whatever our not okay feeling is, we all have a some feeling of being not okay on the inside if we get really honest. The
sure.
restlessness and emptiness, sense of abandonment, I'm not good enough, whatever it is.
Hmm.
We end up seeking a partner to that some we want to find, quote, the ideal partner, meaning you are the perfect person to fix that in me. Right?
Yes.
So then we're in a relationship because, well, I the purpose I want to be with you because I think you're going to fix that abandonment thing. And then you find out your partner's human,
Yes.
you know, and they let you down, not because they want to, they're being mean, but just because, one of my favorite phrases, I think I've coined this, I don't know, I should trademark it, but life partners make lousy life sources, right? And very often we are looking for a partner to be our life source,
Mhm.
like fill that void, fix that problem, finish that story, help me find this identity. And our partners become the source of our aliveness, almost the source of our wholeness. It's like that Jerry Maguire movie, which I liked, but he was full of shit when he said, "You complete me," right? But we get that mindset like a partner is going to complete us in some way. And then you find out that life partners are great, but not as life sources,
Mhm.
right?
And
Right.
also, I want to add to that, it's so right on. It's sometimes a conscious choice, right? Like, but it's also very often not a conscious choice
Right.
to find someone to complete or fix or help or save. Um,
Right. Right.
because when we're young, we make choices with not a whole lot of conscious awareness around
Oh, yeah.
choosing a partner.
Oh, that's one of the things a mindful person discovers is that there is something that's running me that I'm not aware of. There are patterns and beliefs and just an unconscious things that are responsible for what I'm choosing, what I'm attracting, and waking up to that, waking up to those unconscious patterns so that then you can choose is that's the whole game. That's what it means to be self-aware.
Mhm.
I'm aware of some of the impulses and drives and some of my baggage that is causing me to respond certain ways and then of course attract certain people. And so the more self-aware you become, like, I call myself a relationship coach. I'm probably more accurate. I'm a self-awareness coach. I just don't know if that would be as marketable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because most people, I don't know if they are really at that point where they're like, what I really want in life is self-awareness. Like, and what I really want is a relationship. So, but in essence, self-awareness really is the pathway to healing, to healthy connections,
Hmm.
right?
To
So, yeah,
relationship, to great sex, all of it.
right,
I mean, it really
right.
does start with that self-awareness, to your
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very much so.
So what
And
do
that's
you
something
think?
that I lacked forever, but I'm hopefully growing in that.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right.
Depends who you ask.
That's
Don't ask
right.
that
Let's
woman
not ask your
upstairs.
wife.
You never know. Right.
Let's get your wife on the show.
She'd say, he's got a little smidgen. He's trying. He's trying.
Right. That's funny. So it's a really huge paradigm shift for people to make that shift from I want to feel better, you change, or this relationship isn't working for me because, you're not XXX or XYZ.
Right.
Um, I know you work mostly, is it true you work mostly with singles?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I would think, I mean, it's interesting. I'd be curious to hear how you do this in your work. In a way, that a new person that comes into work with you that's looking for a relationship, that piece feels like a really important piece to kind of tease apart
Yeah.
before moving forward. I would almost start with the question to the person like, so what did your last partners or relationships like not do for you? Or like,
Yeah. Yeah.
not what needs were they not meeting? Or what were they doing that was totally annoying you? Or,
Correct. And that really is what I do with my clients is we sort of start with their experience and use that as a chance to grow in self-awareness, to learn like why did it not work? What was the root cause of some of the drama, some of the disappointments, the lack of deep connections, and we use that as aha moments. Now that's very challenging because I don't know about your ego, but my ego loves to think it's everybody else's fault, right?
mm,
Like I really enjoy telling a little bit of my story because it's
right.
hilarious and such an example of how the ego is so defended, right? Like I had a 19-year marriage that became very platonic. We functioned well, but we lost our man woman thing, and I don't think that was very exciting for my wife. It wasn't for me, so I initiated a divorce, and of course I rebounded immediately into a relationship that was basically all sex, which at the time was sort of nice, right? But I was just rebounding from one to the other. I never really stopped and did any work on myself, never any real introspection or self reflection. I just found me another woman and we got engaged. We were about 6 months from getting married, and she dumped me, and that destroyed me. And I didn't know what to do with that pain other than I just got to find me a new woman to help me forget the last one. So I joined a bunch of online dating sites and I thought I was emotionally available, but in reality, I was sort of using the new women to help me kind of forget the last one. So I was there, but I wasn't there, and I was sending mixed signals, and it just the amount of drama that caused. Okay, so you take that window of maybe 3 years, 3.5 years of my life, divorce, being dumped by a fiance, tons of online drama, some of which I write in my book that it's sad but hilarious. It's just through all of that, it never occurred to me that I had anything to do with it. I remember a friend saying, Roy, do you think maybe you should work with someone? And I was literally like, why? What do you, My ex-wife was this, my ex-fiance was this, all you crazy women. It never occurred to me that maybe I had something going on with me that was playing a big part. So all the pictures I didn't really recognize. I'm the common denominator in all of them. So my point is the ego really likes to blame and say, well, the reason my love life hasn't worked out the way I want it to is because I picked the wrong partners, or my ex was this, or that person was that way. And we never, the ego doesn't want to turn the mirror up in its own face and saying,
Wow.
like, what are you doing to attract these dynamics? What blind spots are you not aware of? How is your maybe your childhood conditioning you to respond in certain ways? And what limiting beliefs do you have? And right. And that's the work that we have to do if we're going to make progress and end the disappointment string in our relationships, is to quit blaming and sort of take responsibility. But the ego doesn't like that. That's what's so hard about this work, is a person's got to be willing to look in the mirror and really not. I remember when I first hired a coach, because I eventually did. I was in so much pain. What the hell? I'll give it a try. First thing she said to me is like, I don't want to hear a damn word about your ex-wife and your ex-fiance, and I don't want to hear it
Mhm.
unless you want to look in the mirror. I'm not doing this with you. But if you want to look in the mirror and find out what you're doing to make your love life be the way it is, I'm all in with you, Roy. So which way do you want to go? And
Wow.
I think that was so shocking. And I think I tried everything else in my life. I almost kind of almost I almost had an attitude of, yeah, okay, I'll look in the mirror, but I ain't gonna find anything because I know it's all their fault. And the punchline is, it was me. I mean,
I'm
they had their
shocked.
issues, right? They had their issues, but it was like, oh God, right?
What a
And
shocker.
it was horrible to see I had mommy issues is what I discovered. And it
Hmm.
was horrible to face that stuff because it was like, oh man, now I can't really blame my ex-wife and my ex-fiance. I gotta take ownership of this. But because I identified the root issues, I was able then I could work on the right things. See, because before that, my solution to the problem was trying to find the right woman
That's
because I
right.
got all the wrong women. So that's the wrong solution. It's like taking
That's
the
right.
wrong medication for a disease. It's like it's not matching. So
Right.
when I discovered what the real issue was, oh, I could work on that. And I was able to do that. And now I've been married for 17 years because that willingness to look in the mirror just transformed my life, as hard as it was in the beginning. But
Wow.
yeah,
We're going to pause right there for a commercial break and come back because I want to hear so much more of this story. We'll be right
all right.
back. Welcome back to Come Back to Love Radio on Dream Vision 7. I'm Robin Vogel and here with my guest, Roy Biancalana. Thanks for being here today.
Yes.
Okay, we just like approaching this amazing story. And first of all, I just want to appreciate and thank you for your honesty because
Mm,
that was a vulnerable share. If
mm,
you're just tuning in now, I definitely suggest you download this episode and go back and listen from the beginning. Um, I had some similar resonance stories as well in my life.
yeah.
But let's go back to let me just sort of summarize and say that you had a marriage and you divorced and then you were on the way to the altar and that ended and then
Yeah.
you just sort of searching and then finally somebody said like held up a mirror and was like, "Hey Roy, like," and you made a really important distinction actually. The strategy which most people use is I got to find the right person. I just haven't found the right person yet, so I've got to
Right.
go and try to find the right person. And you flipped that completely on its head and went like, no, okay, actually, maybe begrudgingly at first, but eventually with some embrace, I'm going to look at myself. Actually, I'm going to turn the mirror. I always say like we're focused outward, like turn the focus inward turn the mirror to look at
Right.
ourselves, and then you started to say like, wow, I realized like, yeah, I had some things to deal with. I had some mommy issues and some other things that I hadn't addressed yet. And
Yeah.
note to everybody listening here, when we don't address those things, they're typically in what we might call shadow. And
Hmm.
then, but they have so much power and control over
Hmm.
us. These things that are
Hmm.
in shadow make decisions for us.
Mm.
It's like, no, don't do that.
Right. Well, you end up repeating patterns.
Yes,
That was
of
one of the
course.
things that happened before I
Right.
started to look in the mirror. I wasn't aware of the unconscious dynamics that were responsible for my love life. So that it was like freaking Groundhog Day. It was like this over and over again. Yeah. So you alluded to something, one of my favorite questions from my clients. And I just simply say, so tell me, why are you single? Okay. Now that question
Woo.
reveals unbelievable mindset issues. Because most people say, well, because I just haven't met the right person yet.
Mm.
Eh, not it. It's not it,
Um,
right? It's because the right answer is I'm unaware of the reasons I have resistance to intimacy, and I'm unaware of some of the things I might be doing to sabotage myself. That's why I'm single. I'm keeping myself single. And I really want to find out why, because I really don't want to be single, right? So it's about discovering our barriers, our blockages, our baggage, our self sabotaging beliefs. That's what it is. It's not that you haven't met the right person yet, right?
right.
And the ego hates that one too.
Absolutely. I mean, those questions are so I can feel the reverberations in our listeners and how that those questions land. And
Yeah.
it's
And I
confusing.
asked them with real compassion
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
because years ago I would have said, well, because my ex-wife or my ex-fiance and the women, this, and I'm just unlucky. Fate has not just I haven't met the right person yet, but it's a numbers game. You hear people say that. It's a numbers game. I'm like, no, not if you're not aware of what you're doing that's rigging the numbers against you.
Right.
So, yeah, yeah. Powerful stuff,
Very
but
powerful.
but transformative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so it takes a lot of courage to hear that question or those questions and be willing maybe to start off just in case our listeners are thinking like, I don't know how I would answer that, and maybe just to start off by saying like, well, I don't know, but I'm willing to take a look or I'm willing to learn
Right.
some more and see how I feel about learning some more, and then I might be open to learning some more after that, you
Right,
know.
right. Yeah, it sort of reminds me of what I consider to be like the biggest mistake single people make in their pursuit of intimacy.
Hmm.
And I have a great way of illustrating this. And if the listener would just indulge me. So we all know what an Ironman triathlon is, right? A triathlon, a big endurance race, all day type of thing. So just imagine that someone wants to do very well in a triathlon, and imagine that I'm a former Ironman champion. I'm not. I don't do that kind of crazy stuff. But imagine I'm a former champion. Now I'm a coach, and I help people who want to do well in triathlon. So someone comes to me and says, "Roy, can you train me? Can you help me? I want to be successful in this triathlon I'm going to do." Great. So we sit down, we start having a conversation. And the person starts asking me questions about race day, like strategy questions, like how do you survive in the water? And I mean, you're out there all day. So what do you eat? How much do you eat? And all this. And I'm sitting there as a former champion, and I'm like, okay, those are important questions, but that's not what you should be asking me about. You, you should be asking me, how do I get my butt in shape for this thing?
Right.
Right? Because you can have the best strategy in the world on the day of the race, but if you're not in shape on the starting line, you're never going to go the distance. So it's really about getting yourself in condition. And then you could talk about strategy. So here's what people do they hire me, say, Roy, they ask me race day questions. Where
Mm.
do I go to meet someone? What online platform should I use? How do I get someone to approach, or how do I approach them, or what do I say? How do I flirt? What do I wear? And I'm like, okay, those are important questions, but that's not what you should be asking me. You'd be like, Roy, what do I need to do to get myself ready for something real? What do I need to do to get myself in relationship shape so that when I'm on that starting line, the moment you are face to face with someone, whether it happens via online dating or the regular course of life, there's going to be a moment where the person's standing right in front of you. That's your starting line. If you're not already in shape, it's not going to go the distance. You're bringing your baggage, you're bringing this unconscious stuff, you're bringing your mommy issues in my case, and it's just going to sabotage it. So the issue is, am I ready for it? How do I get myself ready for something real so that however life unfolds, when I do bump into someone, I'm ready to go the distance. I'm in a healthy place. I'm grown in self-awareness. I've let go of my self-sabotaging behaviors and these kind of things, and I'm ready to go deep with someone, right? But most people are like race day stuff. Where do I go to meet someone? So I try to get them to make that mindset shift from getting themselves ready, focusing on being the right person rather than trying to find the right person. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I think it's like very similar to the work that I do. And what you're saying is, the answers are inside.
Yeah.
You can find the dating app, you can get your hair cut, you can find good
Right.
clothes to wear, you can whatever, you need to do
Yeah.
to feel comfortable. But
Oh
the
man, I mean,
question,
I could have had a $10,000 suit and I could have had a Lamborghini and I could have gotten work done to look like George Clooney or something. But if I'm bringing my mommy issues to the starting line, I'm gonna F it up
yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
seeking a relationship for the wrong reasons and the wrong beliefs, and it's just not gonna work.
Mhm.
And that's the message I I try to tell people.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I call myself a relationship trainer. Like I'm gonna get you in relationship shape, get your
Yes.
relationship muscles strong, right?
Yes, from the
Yeah.
inside. So
Yeah.
that's, you mentioned it a couple times. I can't let it pass by again.
Oh,
As a woman. Yeah, tell us about those mommy issues, Roy.
yeah. Right. And what the world of psychology has discovered is that our upbringing and our parents have a huge impact on our psyches. So everybody's got a mommy or a daddy issue,
Yes.
most likely. Okay. So my particular dynamic, and that's part of what I do with my clients, is helping them find out their dynamic.
Mhm.
Mine was my mother was like a perfectionist. She was sort of harsh and demanding and wanted things done a certain way. She met and took care of me and my brothers and sisters, physical needs, but she was sort of emotionally distant. I never felt like close to her. I never felt warmth from her,
Mm.
except when I kind of let go of what I wanted and my needs or my quote selfish ideas. If I made my life be about making mommy happy, if my life was doing things that she wanted to do, then I felt some warmth. Then I
Yeah.
felt some connection, right? So, what little boy doesn't want to be close to his mother? So, unconsciously, I was learning, you know how you get close to a woman? Kind of make your life be about taking care of her,
Mm.
right? Kind of suppress or ignore what you want and just, mommy, what can I do to make you happy? What can I do for you, right? So, from this, now I'm a 45-year-old man. And in my consciousness is this assumption, this love story. You mentioned that in your introduction, that the way you get attention and affection from a beautiful woman is about making your life be about taking care of hers.
Mm.
So, what I began to see is that I had created a persona that I call Roy the Rescuer. Okay.
Yes.
I
What is
was this, I was like the world's greatest boyfriend, which is a chapter title on one of my books. within weeks, Robin, you're not going to believe this, but literally within 2 or 3 weeks of meeting a woman, I would not only be moved in, but I would be getting her kids up for school. I would be doing the laundry. I'd be cleaning the house. I'd be
Wow.
doing the grocery shopping. I'd be washing the car. I'd be cutting the grass. I would do everything for this beautiful woman. Right. And so I was this rescuer, and I found that I had a pattern of attracting women who had these high-powered careers. They were making tons of money. They worked an enormous amount of hours. They were single mothers, and they were just overwhelmed. They couldn't do it all.
Right.
Right? They just had too much on their plate. Well, here comes Roy the rescuer. Right? I'll swoop right in there. I'll take care of all that, baby. All you gotta do is have sex with me. Right? Because that was what I was lacking coming out of my marriage. Right.
Mhm.
So it gets into this codependent thing. So
Yes.
when I hired my coach, my complaint was, her name was Diana. Like, Diana, how come all the women I meet are like damsels in distress? I'm like, they're very smart, very educated, making a lot of money, but they're overwhelmed with their lives. They can't handle it all. They're kind of falling apart. And I have to do everything. I have to raise the kids and do the laundry and all this kind of stuff. I began to see that if I saw myself as a rescuer, which is the way I got close to my mother, well, rescuers need damsels. They go together like cookies and milk, right?
Yes, they sure
So
do.
I kept thinking, where do I find a woman who's got her shit together, right? That, she wants love, she wants support, but like, I got it. I can raise my kids and have my company, and it's a lot, but I got it, and I'm not a damsel in distress. Like, where are those women? Well, as long as I was in this rescuer thing, those women would not be attracted to me because they didn't need rescuing, right? But the damsels were. So the point I'm making is, you could see that I might say, where do I find a woman who's not a damsel in distress? Wrong question. Because as long as I'm still a rescuer, those are the only kinds of women that I would be attracted to or be attracted to me, because our stuff matches, right? So if I want to change the dynamic, it's not about finding a different kind of woman. It's about stop being the rescuer. Let's get at your mommy issue here, right? Let's see you develop a sense of yourself a bit and let go of these beliefs that you have to be this falsely unselfish person. Because I need to point out that for some men, doing those kinds of things is an expression of love for them. They do it authentically. They want to do that. I was doing it because I was afraid. Like, I won't get laid if I don't do this stuff. I won't get a woman to give me the time of day if I don't kind of step in and do. So I wasn't doing it from love. I was doing it from fear and sort of from manipulation in a way, right? So I just had to, the minute I saw this, I was like, oh my God, well, no wonder my marriage went this way. My fiance was this way, and all this stuff with women in my life were, well, no wonder, right? So then I got the right issue, and all I needed to do was work on, like, Roy, the solid, conscious, grounded man who feels worthy of love, who feels like his needs matter also, and to find a little bit of my centeredness. And when I did that, all of a sudden, it's like magic. I started attracting healthier women. Because if I'm not a rescuer, a damsel won't work with me. Right. So that's the kind of work. And if I can just say one more thing about this, this is, I almost hate using the phrase, the law of attraction, because there's so much goofiness around it, in my opinion. What it means is like attracts like. Okay. And the meaning of that is you'll never attract someone who's healthier than you are. You'll always attract someone who is in the same state of consciousness you are. So if I'm a rescuer, it's going to attract a damsel every single time. So if I don't want a damsel, I need to grow. The healthier I am, now I attract a healthier partner. Okay. Like attracts like. So this then shifts everything around as we've been talking about for the viewer to say, man, if I want a really high quality partner, it's not where do I find that person? It's how do I become that person?
Mm.
Because that person magnetically attracts its equivalent. It's on the same wavelength, right? And that's really empowering. Because at first, when I saw all this stuff, I was horrified. But then I had this insight like, okay, so if I'm responsible for how it went, like if I wrote the script to that story, well, if I wrote that, then I can write this one because I'm not a victim. It's not like, oh, I just got to get lucky. No, I've been making my love life this way. And since I've been making it, I'm empowered. I can make it differently, right? That is an unbelievable feeling because most people go through their love lives feeling like I just hope it works out. I hope I meet someone. I hope they're a good person. And they don't feel empowered. They just feel at the effect of outside forces.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So that's the kind of work that transforms people. And
That
the other
is
thing I want to
so
say, if we,
powerful.
you're right, it's
Mhm.
like if you want a mediocre relationship, anybody can do that. Just find someone you don't want. You don't kill each other. We just want to coexist. Okay, fine. But if you want something extraordinary, Robin, the longer I'm in this business, the longer I look at myself and work with people. If you want something extraordinary, you need help. You need a coach. You need someone on the outside to poke and prod and ask questions. In other words, if you want to be a great basketball player, right, you've got to do things that normal people don't do. You got to work harder on your game. You know what I mean? Like I
Yes,
used to be a professional golfer. To be at that level, I work harder than the normal guy at the driving range because I want to be extraordinary.
right.
Well, if we want an extraordinary love life, it takes us, we have to work on ourselves,
Mhm.
right? And yeah, that's when I get that kind of person, ooh, it's so exciting.
Ooh, yes. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Good.
Come back to Love Radio. Wow, this has been, first of all, so you started in the beginning, you were like, this is deep. And I was like, yes, that is where I go and where we go together. So I've been
Yeah,
really grateful for everything you've shared.
yeah,
I'm sure that there are listeners out there like nodding and saying, yes, that's me. I've done that. Oh my gosh, I thought it was about everybody else. One of the things I wanted to drop in is you were talking about how you learned to be a rescuer because
hmm
that's how you got love and affection from your mom. And we
hmm
all learned different strategies. If it
right,
wasn't forthcoming, we
right,
all learned different strategies to get the love that we wanted, that we desired, that we deserved.
hmm
I also feel like there's a lot of conditioning in our culture.
mm,
Well, this is a whole other podcast episode, but there's a lot of conditioning in our culture for men to be just what you described, the
hmm
provider, the caretaker, the doer, the fixer. Like all of that is like in the drinking water if you come into this culture in
right,
a male body. I know a lot of the gender things have shifted quite a bit, but when
hmm
you came in and when I came
yeah,
in, that was the message. Like,
yeah,
the men take care of this, that, and the other thing. And I just for the men listening out there, I feel like there's a lot attached to those things that reflect, self-esteem. Like I feel good
right,
about myself if I can provide in these,
yeah,
1800 ways. And then,
right,
and it's just really out of balance. I've worked with so many couples over the years where at some point in the relationship, this is part of the conversation where, the
hmm
man especially is like, you know,
yeah.
I've been doing all
Expectations and
this.
assumptions.
Yes.
I really do think that we talk about living consciously, waking up, and I think that means a number of things, but one of them is waking up to the cultural scripts that we've been giving that we
Yes.
almost don't even know we're following. It's like a fish, you ask a fish, how's the water? They won't know what you're talking about because it's like they're always in it. They don't even notice it, right? So we get brought up in cultures, family environments, especially if there's religion in the thing. There's all these assumptions and expectations about this. And in a way, waking up is about noticing that maybe you're living somebody else's life or by somebody else's values or and consciously deciding who you want to be
Mm.
and what makes you tick and what your gifts are and what values you want to live by and really separating what I've been given and sort of told and sometimes forced into and waking up to that and separating it from this, okay, now who am I? And I think unfortunately, when people go through this, it's called a midlife crisis because it's usually by midlife that we start to say, how did I get here? I don't want to live the life I've been living. And unfortunately, that can lead to a lot of difficulties.
Yeah.
And we can handle our midlife crises in very ungraceful kind of ways. But I feel it's a gift from God to sort of come face to face with, the choices that I've made and where I am and who do I want to be. And then you can be in a relationship and be more authentic. Because if you're just animating a cultural perspective, you show up in a relationship and that person begins to get to know you, but they're getting to know the cultural person that you've been formed to be rather than who you really are. But it's almost like we should go through our midlife crisis before we meet anyone. Because then
Yes.
we because then we come out like, okay, now I know who I am. I know how I want to be. I know the kind of man or woman that I want to be and the gifts I have to give. So here I am now. Now you're getting, I know what I am and I can tell you what I am. And then you can buy this product, because it's all on the up and up. But very often it's not like we're being inauthentic purposely, but it's like, so people get together and then they find these things out. And then it's like, oh, um, well, now this relationship maybe doesn't work or it has to be reworked.
Right.
Right. So that's, again, another argument for the more self awareness we can get from the beginning,
Yes.
the better chance we have.
Yes, that is a really very deep invitation to self-inquiry. I go with the belief that 98% of what we think, feel, and have emotions about are not ours, which is a
Mm,
huge number. And
it is.
it's less, maybe whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's tremendous how much we take on right from the beginning
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
just absorbing everything and then we live into this truth that isn't necessarily true. It's not the truth of who we truly are. And
Yeah.
so, yes, to
Yeah.
doing a lot of the work beforehand. Shout out to our younger listeners,
Yeah.
because it's
Well,
important.
and it's never too late.
No, it's never
Never
too
too
late.
late.
No, of
Right.
course.
And if you're in a relationship, like we talked about in the very beginning, we want to create an environment where we can work on ourselves together. This kind of thing is welcomed, even
Yes.
if you're our age. I don't know how you are, but it's welcomed. It might be scary, but the whole purpose of the relationship is we're not going to stay together no matter what, and we're going to hide all these things and just act like everything's fine. No, I I want my wife to know her truth.
Mhm.
And if I actually love her, then I want for her to follow her path. And that's if that's not with me, then girl, you go do your thing. Because I don't want you to stay with me if it's holding you back in some way that you want to express yourself. That's not a healthy relationship,
Right.
right? But you need to have that different mindset to encourage your partners to grow and evolve and every day you sort of recommit to each other. I'm still here. I want to be here. Right.
Right.
And it's not like, well, I said it at the altar 20 years ago, and no matter what happens, I gotta stay and suck it
Yeah,
up and and
that's
do all
a
that.
lovely
So
that's a
yeah,
lovely practice to recommit every day. That's beautiful.
yeah, 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 for sure.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Then we're going to come back and hear about all your goodies. I
I
can't
do
wait.
have some goodies.
Good. Looking forward to it. So, Roy, first of all, you've written 3 books, which I am like so inspired and delighted by. I'm just finishing up my first one.
Ah, yeah.
And I know you have some gifts, some ways for our incredible listeners to contact you. I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm kind of a content creator. I don't know if I ever set out to do that, but yeah, I've written 3 books. My fourth one's going to come out in about 3 months or so. And I have my own podcast. It's called the Attracting Lasting Love Podcast. It's got
Nice.
like 205 episodes. It's free. It's just out there. Um, and I have my private coaching practice. Um, And I sometimes, like I said, describe myself as a relationship trainer, right? Getting you in relationship shape, getting you ready for something real. And so there's something I have for people that's free that I think can be really of service. And to put it in a kind of a metaphor kind of thing, if you went to a gym and hired a personal trainer to get you in physical shape, the first thing any good trainer would do is they would run you through some assessments to see what your current fitness level is. And then they could put a program together to get you where you want to go. Right. Well, I sort of do that. Since we're talking about getting in relationship shape, I have something to help people determine their current relationship fitness level. And once you kind of know that, if it's appropriate, and I can help put a program together to get you in the best relationship shape of your life, then we can. So on my website, coachingwithroy.com, right on the homepage is something called the Relationship Fitness Self Assessment Test. Okay.
Mm.
It's a 30-question true false test. Taking me 3, 4 minutes to take, completely confidential. I don't see your results. I just get notified someone took your test, but you get your results in email privately. And it's going to give you my assessment as to how relationally fit you are. And
Mm.
there's 5 categories. Okay. The
And
first category is you're relationally ripped. Okay. No one's ever scored that category. That's for Jesus or Buddha or someone like that. Okay. So you're not going to be ripped. Just get used to it. You're not perfect. But then there's skinny fat, there's overweight, there's unhealthy, and then there's the quote worst category. It's called being dangerously out of shape. Now,
Mm.
just tell you something kind of funny. I wrote the test myself. So it's not some gospel truth. It's just kind of me trying to assess how ready are you for something real. So after I got my test done, I try to put myself back in my mentality before I worked with a coach, 20 years ago. I took my own test, and of course, I scored in the worst category because I was a mess.
Mm.
So this is partly why I know it's pretty accurate. If I would have got a decent score, the test is crap because I was a mess. But no, I was in that lowest category, right? So I just tell people take the test. Don't take it as gospel truth,
Right.
but find out what I might have to say about your current fitness level. And if it says that you're human and you could use to strengthen some of your relationship muscles, then maybe I can help you do that. And you can follow up with me and talk about working with me if you'd like. But at least go to the website, coachingwithroy.com, take the test. It's free. Get an idea of what I have to say. If I piss you off, ignore me. If it resonates, call me. Either one's fine.
That sounds great. I love the idea of taking like a relationship fitness
Sure.
is test and kind of getting the information.
Right.
It's, a self-inquiry about
Right.
what's,
And nobody knows but you. So it's not like,
yeah,
yeah.
that's great that you can't see the results. I think that
Right.
helps people feel safer
Right.
about doing it. So Shout out to all the listeners there. That's the way to get connected to Roy. The way to find out more about me is going to my website, comebacktolove.com. And that is the same name as this radio show, Come Back
Sure.
to Love on Dream Vision 7. Tune in next week, Thursday, 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. Or just, that Alexa device. All you have to do is say, play Dream Vision 7 radio network, and the show appears. I love
There
that.
you go.
Thank you so much, Roy, for being here. Thank you to our listeners. I look
Thank
forward
you,
to
Robin.
being with you all again soon. Mwah. Have a beautiful day.